Okay, this is our next video for Math 111Z. Hopefully you guys are spreading these out, not trying to watch them all together at once. This is section 1.3 from our textbook. And this day we are going to talk about polynomials and factoring polynomials. So first, a general definition of a polynomial. It's going to start with a leading coefficient and a variable raised to the same power as the subscript of the leading coefficient. So if this is 3, we'd call that a sub 3, and so on. We classify our polynomials by the parity of the leading coefficient, whether it's positive or negative, by the degree of the highest number, which is what gives us our leading coefficient, etc. Each time, our subscript will drop down 1 to denote a new constant, and our exponent would drop down 1 as well, all the way until we get down to our quadratic term, then our linear term, and then our constant term. All right, so again, this is our constant term. It's our leading coefficient. And this is our degree. So for example, if I had so if I had something like this, this would have a leading coefficient of 3, a constant term of -1, and a degree of 4. Right? Now, there is a cubic term and a linear term, but their coefficients are 0. So I could write it in this complete form, putting the zeros in, writing it like that. For a polynomial, all of our coefficient terms are going to be real numbers. All right, so we also can classify them by how many terms they have. If it's a trinomial, it has 3 terms. That would look something like this. A binomial will have 2 terms, might look like this. And then a monomial would just have 1 term, could look like that. Now a monomial could have multiple variables in it and still be a monomial. For most of our examples, we'll stick with just 1 variable. Right. When you're multiplying a monomial by a monomial, multiply the constant terms together, then you multiply the variables together. This is like this. We learned the last 2 chapters ago, or 1 section ago, that would be added like that. When you multiply binomials together, you need to make sure you get all 4 terms. Distributing this into this, it would be -2x times this whole thing, minus 3 times this whole thing, which would be -6x squared, minus 4x, minus 9x from here, minus 6. Now, you may remember from some of your high school classes that there is a mnemonic that goes with this called foiling, because you take the first term, the outer term, the inner term, and the last term. You see, you get a little smiley face when you do it. A little smiley face there. And that's called FOIL. You collect the like middle terms, and that is called foiling. But you are just multiplying binomials. you're multiplying a binomial or polynomial by another polynomial, again, I find the easiest way to do this is to just pass each number out. So this would be 9x to the third minus 6x squared plus 18x. Okay, that's all the ones that go with this. Now I have to do this next one. Plus 6x squared minus 4x plus 12. Collect like terms. 9x cubed. These two are like terms. They actually end up canceling each other out. Negative 6 plus 6. These two are like terms. 18 and minus 4, so that gives me 14x plus 12. And then you also need to know how to factor. Some ways of factoring is taking out just any common terms that you might see. So I can take my greatest common factor out. There's a 3 in all of these, and there's minimally an x squared in all of these. So I take a 3x squared out. I'd have 1 plus 3, and 3x is left, plus 6. Well, let's collect like terms. These were actually like terms to begin with. It would be 7 plus 3x cubed. You can factor by grouping, and that is where you take the greatest common denominator out of two terms and two terms. So I take like an x squared out of here, leaving with an x minus 1. I take a 2 out of this, leaving with x minus 1. I see that now I have a group that is common. I take that common group out. And that is factoring by grouping. Factoring trinomials is a bit of an art, as much as a science. When you have a leading term, or a leading coefficient of 1, it's pretty easy, really. You take this number here. Because this is a minus, you subtract. If this was a plus, you would add. You list all of the factors of 8 starting at 1. 1 goes in there, 8. 2 goes in 4 times. 3 doesn't go in. 4 goes in 2 times. It's already on our list, so we're done. We're subtracting. 8 minus 1 is 7. That does not match this term. 4 minus 2 is 2. That does match that term. I'm going to use those two terms. Because this is a minus, you're going to have 1 plus and 1 add. If this were a plus, they'd have to be both the same sides. Because this is a minus, I want my bigger number to be negative and this number to be positive. Let's try a couple more of those, just for practice. Let's take again, I have a minus here, so I'm going to subtract my factors to find my middle term. 1 and 30 subtracts to 29, that doesn't work. 2 goes in 15 times, subtract to 13, doesn't work. 3 goes in 10 times, subtract to 7, doesn't work. 4 doesn't go in. 5 goes in 6 times, subtract to 1, that works. This is going to be z, 1 plus, and 1 minus to give me the negative here. I need a 5 and a 6. Because this is a positive, the bigger number goes with the positive. And that should be there. All right. Now, we do a similar process when the leading coefficient is not 1. except now, instead of just adding my factors here, I also have to consider the factors of my first term. So these could be the possible factors of my first term. These are the factors of my second term. I need to add, we're adding here. So I need to multiply this to this, and this to this, and these combinations to see how I could get 12. So if I take 1 and 1 plus 4 and 9, that adds to 37. I could take 9 and 4, again using the 1 from here with the 4, the 9 from here with the 1, that adds to 13. So neither of those choices are going to work, so I know this won't work. Sorry, I can't cross that out yet until I try it with the 2's. I can do 2 and 18. That's not going to work. Or 18 and 2, also not going to work. All right, so now I can cross that out. Let's try this one. I could do 3 plus 12, which adds to 15. It's not going to work. I could do 6 here plus 6 adds to 12. And that is going to work. So my numbers are 6 and 6 and 2 and 2. So this is going to end up being 2x plus 6 and 2x plus 6, which could be rewritten as 2x plus 6 squared. All right, so I know this factoring is something that you have probably been real familiar with. It was going to take you a little while to brush up on it. There'll be lots of examples and videos of specific problems. Let me know if you have questions. And good luck. Thanks. Bye.